Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sohile Ali Show. I am so pleased today to be joined by a very special guest. My goal was to have guest interviews each month, and we're kicking off January with a strong one with my friend TJ Wharry. TJ is a very funny comedian and producer based out of Lafayette, Indiana. Last year, he co-produced the inaugural Lafayette Comedy Festival featuring comedians from all over the country, including headliner Brian Regan. Also last year, TJ was runner-up in Indy's Funniest competition based in Helium Comedy Club, Indianapolis. I got to meet TJ when we did a show together in Bloomington, and we've honestly hit it off ever since. He's someone who's been in comedy a long time, and I'm really happy to have him on the show today. So if you don't know him already, you definitely will. So with that being said, welcome TJ Wharry to the Sohile Ali Show. How you doing, my friend?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. It's good to finally get to do this. It's really cool. I'm excited for it.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for your time. In comedy, it's like if we're not doing mics or a show, it's time spent writing usually. So I really appreciate you taking the time to
Mhm.
chat with me today. And yeah, everything I mentioned, I think we met at a Hoppy Wobble show probably for the first time when you likely headlined the room. And honestly, I think we just connected and hit it off ever since. But my first question is, what I brought up as far as comedy goes. I always like to ask my guests who are comics, what first drew you to comedy in the first place? What drove you to go to that open mic that your very first time, essentially?
So for me, it was honestly, it was people telling me basically my whole life that I should try stand up. They told me that I had good timing, and like the way I told stories, I should probably try stand up. It wasn't really something that I always wanted to do. I was a sports guy. I went to school for sports. I worked in sports. I was working as a hockey scout. Um, And honestly, like my wife and I, she used to come with me when I'd scout, and she would review restaurants. We like ethnic food, so we'd review
Hmm.
restaurants. And like I'd scout the hockey, and she'd work on her reviews. And then as we were leaving or driving along, she'd be looking for punchlines for her reviews, and I didn't realize it, but I was learning to write punchlines by helping her write punchlines for her review. Kind of a team that and then my scouting reports when I go scout hockey players, I was always kind of uh I made it sort of interesting by my descriptions of how things happen instead of using just like the basic terminology. So like in meetings with other scouts, people would all be cracking up when people are trying to be serious. So it was probably born for it more than anything, I guess.
Right, just like kind of being funny naturally in your work, and you mentioned writing was this or scouting rather, it would come out through maybe your summaries of these players, probably the
Yeah.
recaps, shorthand, things like that. And then I guess this is early in your life, maybe your 20s or so.
Yeah.
I know you've
Fun.
lived several places, and then
Yeah.
where was the first time you actually like? I don't know, maybe did you attend comedy at all before even starting?
So my wife was doing a PhD at Michigan. We were living in Detroit at the time, and I always wanted to, like people had been telling me I should try stand up, and so I was thinking about it. But like this was like just after the economic crash in Detroit, and everybody seemed to be in a bad mood all the time. So I thought, well, this isn't the
Yeah,
do it. We'll wait until after we moved,
yeah.
and then we moved to Boise, Idaho, shortly after that, so she could take her faculty job, and then I decided, hey, I'll go to a comedy show and see how it is. And I saw the comics, and I was like, I thought that I thought with enough work, I could be better than the worst one I saw, and that was enough for me. Oh,
Setting your line there. Absolutely.
exactly.
Was
Yep.
it was it like I mean, both college town, kind of like a pub bar mic or something related to like the I don't know the school maybe?
No, there was a club. Boise had a club,
Oh,
and they had a weekly club mic, and so I signed up for it. So I did it there.
nice, nice. And then, continued it in Boise while remaining the time that you guys were there. Like, would you consider the Boise scene? I don't know. I haven't been, if it's much of a scene, kind of your home or starting grounds, I guess.
Starting grounds, yes. Home, absolutely not. My comedy website is idaho.com. I hate Boise. I hate Idaho with a passion. I'll never set foot there again. But yeah, that's where I started.
But that's where you started and, found yourself on the scene there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mentioned, last year, cut, many years later, but last year, I think that's when, or maybe later, late the previous year, but you and I met and, I was so happy to see you started and, producing this festival, Lafayette, as I mentioned, having a headliner, Brian Regan, and, comedians featured all throughout from the country. I mean, how was that experience for you putting on something like that? Was it something you always kind of wanted to do in comedy, is get involved with the festival? And how do you kind of think about all that?
So, what I guess one of the bright sides about Boise was that when I was there, like maybe I think it was the first year that I was there, I co-produced a festival. I was basically on the selection committee, and I gave them some ideas as to who they should bring in. But otherwise, it was, I wasn't really involved in sort of the other side of the festival. And I
Hmm.
guess that was, like I said, that was like the first year that I'd done stand up. I'm coming up on 11 years now. So I didn't do anything with festivals between then, but I had all
Hmm.
that time, all
Mm.
that time in the in betweens, I'd done festivals and, I'd seen the posters and stuff like that. And I spent all that time basically thinking about what I would do if I ever had the opportunity to do a festival. And then when it came together, the opportunity came together, I jumped on it. It's a lot of
Right.
work for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's what we always hear. But I want to go back to, you said you had the opportunity to get involved with the festival while being in Boise. Was it a festival in Boise or somewhere else that you were just like getting involved with?
It was a festival in Boise. It was
Oh,
you asked about if Boise had a comedy scene. At that point, it had a scene, and then there were people that were kind of not really part of the scene that wanted to do things, and it was somebody that was um, trying to be part of. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say any of that. Uh, it was people that wanted to get stuff done in Boise, and we worked together and we got it done. It was great. I kind of got off in the weeds in politics here, so I kind of forgot what I was talking about.
you're
Uh,
good.
it's yeah, Boise was a massive mess. It wasn't a fun place. It wasn't a fun place to be. I did what I could while I was there, and was happy to leave.
Happy to leave and great place to start, great place to leave as well, probably. But
Oh my
uh
God, there is no better place in the world to leave than Boise, Idaho. It's a shame
hate to
nobody.
s- hate to see you arrive. I'd love to watch you leave. That is that is great. I mean, and cutting out because I know you now as a comic based out of Lafayette. Did you move? Was it from Boise then to what Lafayette area?
Yeah, yeah, yep. Uh,
Got you.
my wife got a job at Purdue. It was a pretty big upgrade for her career, so we're more than happy to jump on it.
That's right. That's right. You're, the self-described proud trophy husband.
Yeah.
Our viewers can obviously see that. Our listeners can hear that. Um, but that's great, and I think that's how we're been home for you now for some time,
Yep.
where I know you're people like yourself, comedians like Kirsten Carnes,
Yep.
Justin Seymour, and more folks are building and maintaining a scene in the West Lafayette area,
Yep.
which is always great. Kind of a sister town to us here in Bloomington. Um,
Yep.
but
Long time coming.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you arrived, was it seemingly the same as it is now? Obviously, the changes you've brought upon it, but the Lafayette comedy scene when you arrived, what did you come across?
There was nothing at all. It was me. As far as I knew, there was just me. Apparently, Kristen moved here about a year later, but we didn't find out we were both here until about a year and a half ago. And honestly, when we found out that we were both here, that's when the festival came together. It was like there's at least two of us now, so let's see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
Justin Seymour has been a blessing to have in the scene too. We got some others coming up. It's been nice. It's nice to finally have something here. Anytime you
Yeah.
can show and 5 minutes from your house, it's something that I never got to experience too much in Idaho, and so it's nice to have that here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want to, mention, you're from Michigan, like born and raised, essentially, went to Michigan.
Yep.
Um, did you ever, I guess it was never really a home for you when you were doing comedy, I guess. Is that true?
Yeah, I started stand up after I moved, but I work in Detroit a lot. The scene has treated me like I came up through there, and I really appreciate that. It's a very talented scene, and they got a lot of great venues, a lot of great comics come through there.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, when I was at the Let's Fest last year in Indy, I think seemingly at least 30% of the features were Michigan-based comedians. Like
Yeah,
it
I saw
was
some pictures of all the Michigan comics together at Let's, and it was like a ton. It was very
I
impressive.
know, I know. I was like, you got Alex Bazinovich, you got, Louis D. Michael, Jackie Marper, all these from all the cities too.
Yep.
It just, yeah, blew my mind. I'm like, you guys are killing it out here. God, leave some for the rest of us. But clearly, it's a great place to start. And like I mentioned, you're maintaining an awesome career here, in the Midwest. And I also mentioned, up front, the fact that you were, second place in the Indies funniest competition finals last summer. Was that, I mean, was have you done competitions before? Was it your first time doing Indies? And how was that kind of experience for you?
Yeah, I so when I started comedy about 6 months in, there stopped being a mic for me to do. There wasn't really anywhere for me to perform. So I had to start doing festivals and contests. I started applying to everything just to get stage time. And so I did a lot of festivals and a lot of contests. Maybe the first 3.5 years I did stand up, and then after I moved here, I hadn't really done a whole lot. I did Trial by Laughter in like 2018, but uh, comedy contests are fun to participate in, but the politics around it and the stress and all that, it's just not my thing usually. So I try to stay away from it. But this year, Justin Seymour, he was talking about entering. I'm like, all right, I'll enter if you enter, and we entered, and then came in second, I guess.
Game, I mean, that's no nothing just to brush by, and I was thrilled to see it. And I know you and I were like messaging along the way, like, you got this, man, you got this. I know I knocked out first round. No one's surprised by that. But we
You
definitely
got
were
him. You
next
got
time,
him.
yes. This year, yeah.
Oh
But
yeah, this year. Yeah.
yeah, I know it's crazy.
My
He's already
my reign as Indiana's second funniest comic is almost half over, and we'll see.
gotta defend the belt. Gotta
We
defend
should
the
get a belt.
certificate.
I've been thinking
Yeah.
about having a belt made.
Yeah, right. Some kind of nice bronze, silver,
So
silver.
apparently, what's his name? Patrick Murray was runner up the 3 years before I was.
Like for 3 consecutive years.
Yeah. So like
Dang.
either somebody from Lafayette or in Lafayette has been a runner up like almost the entire time it's been around.
I didn't even know Patrick was from Lafayette.
Yeah.
Okay.
He headlined a show the same time as the
Oh,
Brian Regan show at the
at the
festival.
festival. That's right. Okay. Nice. Wow. That's so homecoming for him, essentially.
And
I've only known him from Indy. Yeah.
packed room, and Brian Regan came to watch our show, so he watched all of Patrick's set. He sat in a room like right underneath a light, so there was a light shining directly over his face. So as Patrick was performing, 20 feet away was Brian Regan, and he was just dying at his entire set. Imagine
Oh
what
my God.
you know.
What a guy, man. Yeah, I remember seeing the picture you guys posted, like Regan popping into the show, and you told me the story. Obviously, that's amazing. I mean, your first time, first time in a while, but first time doing, new city, bringing the comics, new scene. I'm sure you learned a lot. It's a lot of work, like you mentioned. Something you would do it again. Can we look forward to Lafayette 2024?
Yep, we're working on the planning for this year already. Yep, I'm excited for it.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. I mean, to the people of the greater West Lafayette area, the crowds. I mean, I'm sure you had good turnouts and such, but those folks can definitely look forward to amazing shows. TJ puts on amazing shows, as always. Um, so yeah, I mean, I did want to, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but I did want to ask you, about comedy in a sense, what it means to you. And, you knew you were funny. People were telling you were funny. You and your wife, working together, writing funny things and eventually entering this crazy business. But was comedy a part of your upbringing? Like as a child, like, I don't know, in your family? Was everyone funny? Were you into comedy as a kid, things like that?
Um, so my dad was the one with the real sense of humor. My dad was really funny. My mom was funny too, but my dad, it was a big part of his personality was being funny. He was always funny. He knew how to tell a story, and he had impeccable timing in telling his stories. I think that's where I picked up my timing. I don't know where else I would have gotten it. Um, and then he died when I was 10. It was very tragic. My mom didn't. She took it as poorly, like not quite as poorly as she could have, but like just this side of as poorly as she could have taken it. So it was there were a lot of years where she would come home from work and just come home and we'd sit in the dark and have the TV on, and she'd keep stand up on TV just because it's not as depressing as something else. So
Right.
I don't
Right.
know that either of us were like actively paying attention to it, but just having stand up on in the background for all those years, I think it. Uh, I noticed that when I go to write jokes, I can hear the cadence of people that I watched in the 80s kind of naturally come out, and I have to fight against that. Uh, but yeah, that's my I don't I don't watch a ton of stand up. I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. I'm not trying to steal anybody else's premises or anything like that. And I don't want it to ever actually accidentally come out. So I watch some. I don't watch a ton of stand up. So I'm not like I don't have like the mile long list of um, influences and all that a lot of people do. It makes me self conscious when I'm talking to comics because I feel like I'm supposed to, you know?
No, no. I know it's crazy. We all gotta have our like our laundry list ready. I know a few
Yeah,
comics who have notes like ready to go, honestly, because we get that question so much. But I think it's true to say that you've definitely, picked up on rhythm and cadence and you knew what funny sounds like,
you
and
should.
for sure what it looks like and yeah, I mean that's incredible. And to anyone who knows you, genuinely, I love watching your act. I think you're a very great writer, very funny stories, very funny, personal anecdotes and the such. And so, well, I do want to ask, kind of your process.
Thank you.
Of course, your process, I'm always fascinated by how comics get inspired, whether it's sitting down, forcing it out, or just by happenstance throughout the day. When is it that you find yourself kind of in the best like creative flow for writing?
I mean, there's a so looking at my thinking about my material, I've written jokes in all kinds of different ways. I have a lot of stuff that I tell in contests tends to be like short and punchy.
Hmm.
And that is usually, I just think of something will just kind of pop up and like, oh, that's a funny punchline. I should write a setup that doesn't let you know that that's going to be the punchline. And then the punchline tends to hit when I write like that.
Right.
Uh, but other times it's just stories, like I've had a crazy life and I'll just be telling a story to somebody or, especially to my wife, and she'll be like, you should write that out. And then the process starts, and I got to try to figure out how to make it funny. Um, I find that when I sit down and just try to force it, it just doesn't work for me anyway. I think
For
there's
sure.
there's an old saying like writing a joke is like a fart. If you force it, it's going to be shit. I kind of see it that way.
That's right. Yeah, get the bad stuff out first. Oh man. Yeah, I think that's stories. Yeah, I think telling your significant other for sure. For me, it's like if I don't like start talking it out, it's essentially just words on my notes. Um, Something I found funny. There's maybe not even a joke in there, but sometimes just regurgitating it. Like, do you like to before you do a set, kind of go through your set in your head? Do you like to practice or kind of get it out there, things like that?
But before a set, what I find usually, um, if I can remember the first few words of my joke, then I'm fine. It's just a matter of getting those first few words out. So, like in my head, I'll just kind of
Mm,
I'll think through the first few words of the first joke, and then picture myself having finished that first joke. What are the first few words of the next joke? And I'll just kind of work through it like that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Just a way to memorize it, get into the bit.
yeah.
Um, get into the next one. Yeah,
But if
absolutely.
it's an important show, I have my set in a particular order in my head so that I don't have that issue, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
right, right. Yeah,
but
no, absolutely. Being a professional and all that, and I just yeah, I find it fascinating to see kind of the people's processes, and someone who's been doing it as long as you have. Something I did want to ask you, while I had you is, you mentioned this is your 11th year, is that right?
yeah, it'll be 11 years at the end of this month. Yeah,
11 years that's awesome.
yeah,
Um, and so, as someone who's just, a few years in myself, I'm always trying to pick the brains of people, but as you see it today, I'm sure you're always around young comics and, from your day starting out. What advice would you give to someone trying to enter this crazy business and, do the thing and something that you've done and, hopefully love doing for so long? Any tips, anything, or maybe essentially what you would tell yourself starting out, um, like major lessons that you may have learned.
uh, I guess one is that nobody's ever going to get your gig, so don't get upset when somebody gets something. I think Louis C.K. is the one that said that. Like nobody's ever going to get your gig. If you didn't get it, you
Mm,
weren't supposed to. It's
mm,
a really hard thing to try to. It's a really hard thing to try to accept and live by. But if you can do it, that's a big secret. Another one. Um, don't burn bridges unnecessarily with anyone ever, and especially don't burn don't don't feel like
huge.
just because you like if you reach a stature in stand up and you feel like you've attained a stature, don't treat the people that are below you as if they're below you. There's no reason for that. And uh, statures tend to be temporary. I've seen people rise to meet a stature and then look down on everybody below them, and then everybody passes them, and then they can't get
Mm.
work. I don't really see the point in that. Uh, yeah, I don't really see any reason if you feel like you're at a higher stature, just treat everybody the way that you'd want to be treated. I don't understand why that isn't more common.
That no, that's huge, honestly. I think I definitely, people, attitudes, egos, gigs, all these things get in the way. It's a crazy thing, but I think that's a great reminder for sure. Not only because you never know who's gonna pass you, you never know who might, be a vouch for you. Someone has a show somewhere, you always want to
Yeah,
make sure you are helpful and a good steward, I guess, of the craft. And I think anytime I talk to someone who also books a show, also, I mean, clear, books a festival for crying out loud, it's like you're part of what's good about comedy. You're the productive side of comedy. You're the good, the stuff that someone would be attracted to and maybe inspire them to start or to keep going. And I mean, yeah, hearing that from you, I think is definitely valuable for sure.
I appreciate the kind words. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and then, seemingly to yourself, those are great tips. I guess to a young TJ just starting out, any other parts of this that you've kind of come to learn?
Uh, don't be afraid to drive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that they could be doing a lot more than they do if they drive. When you're in Idaho, you're 6 hours from anything ever, so
Yeah. Oh
you learn
man.
that these long drives are not really that long. You know.
That's true, especially if you have another comic with you along the way. It really makes it
Yep.
make it a whole lot shorter there. That's a good point. Yeah, if you can get out there, that's kind of what I learned, early here is from the people that I admire, such as yourself. It's people who are, they're open to any gig. They're willing to go, most places, and they're committed. They're committed. So,
That's how
I
you get
think,
better, honestly. Getting out of your comfort zone, taking gigs that you normally uh, not so much wouldn't take, but you wouldn't think to take. It made me think of like another piece of advice because stage time has always been very hard to come by for me. Even now, like in Lafayette, it's very hard. Uh, so because stage time was always so hard for me, one trick that I learned was to just go to like Walmart or Meijer or something or like at a bar and just go up to people and be like, "Hey, I'm a comedian. I'm trying to work out a new joke. Would you be cool with me just telling you the joke?" And for me, like someone with autism, like that's very hard. Like to just somebody randomly and try to tell
Yeah.
two people a joke, and like a lot of times they're not going to react when you tell them that. That's like nerve wracking. But then you're at a
Yeah.
show, like only two people show up, you're fine because you've been through way worse. It's a great way to cut your teeth, and you never know when
Wow.
you're going to catch just catch a random tag just telling a joke to somebody to no reaction. But do that enough
Yeah.
times, and you get over the small show thing. That's for sure.
Well, who is a better crowd, Walmart or Meyer?
For me, Meyer, but
Okay.
my my jokes might sometimes take a little thinking.
You're more of a Meyer comic, he's more of a Meyer comic.
And the Target tends to
Wow.
appreciate my cerebral comedy better than anywhere else.
They're gonna Target people. They're all in their head at Target. That's wow. I don't think I've heard like, running by maybe your friends that are non-comics or maybe your spouse as we discussed as well. But man, just that talk about out of your comfort zone. Wow.
Oh,
Is this
so
something?
far, so far out of your comfort zone. For me, it's like pulling teeth. It's just so miserable.
Yeah, but it's like for anybody, but especially, and it's like what I feel like nothing, seemingly nothing could scare you now, you know?
Well, you think that, and then it happens, but I mean, it definitely knocks down the number of things that can scare you. That's for sure. It makes you a lot stronger. Makes you a lot stronger.
Man, this is why I'm gonna start we're gonna be getting complaints in like Bloomington community groups. It's just, you guys get this as a guy at the Target, sits in the
So and it's also getting your name and face out there to people that might not go to comedy shows. They might not know that there's comedy, especially in Lafayette. They might not
this
know that
is
there's comedy anywhere. And you go and make them laugh. They're like, "Oh, you're funny. I'm going to look you up." And then if your comedy website is fuckidaho.com, it's easy for them to remember. And they look you up, and then you have a new follower, and maybe someone comes to your shows. You know?
that's what this is some guerrilla marketing, right? This is some feet on the ground. My God, man. Forget this, man. Forget social. This is or the real. This is the original organic reach. Just right
Yeah,
in the produce aisle. Go, hey, bud. What do you think of this one?
it's the
Man,
opposite of going viral, but maybe more effective. Who knows?
yeah. It's a
Oh,
local outbreak there.
yeah, yeah.
That's wow, fantastic, fantastic. And see, man, I'll tell you, no excuse now, folks. No excuse. Who's gonna come? Go get them. Go get the people. Um, they'll come out. They'll come
They're
out.
going to start banning us from Meyer now.
Yeah, yeah. Now that it's out there, everyone's gonna. There was an influx. Everyone said Meyer had great crowds. These people are what? Just go to a random person. This guy knows what I'm talking about. Like what? What?
And Meyer, they usually do. They do.
It's a smart crowd, Meyer. They're working hard for those prices, man. They're working hard. Oh my God, crowd work in actual crowds. That's
Yeah. And Meyer has the friendliest gatekeepers in the industry.
it scares me, but I might have to bust out the journal in a Target sometime soon. Maybe mall. You ever do the mall?
I mean,
Like people got time in the mall, you know? I got time. What do you? You're not even in a store yet.
I haven't been to the mall very much in the last like 20 years or so. But
You and
yeah,
everyone else. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you can do it anywhere though.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
you find like, oh, then you start thinking of places that you're going to go as like, oh, this place could have a decent crowd, or
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Lowe's on
Trader
a
Joe's.
Sunday.
It's a
Huh?
Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, like, it can be hot crowd.
Ooh. They're hot. It's a it's a woke crowd, you know. So
Exactly.
yeah, if they're laughing, then it's really good. That's good stuff.
Yep. And if you have something that's not going to work like a Comedy Addict, then you could probably just go to like a liquor store and practice it there, or like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you
Other
have them
guy,
down there.
some solo cups there, please, and one more for me.
Exactly. Exactly.
God, that's wild, man. That's a huge one, man. Folks, I'll tell you, this is forget your friends, man. Go straight to the people. Go straight to them. Get it out there.
As
Um,
Meyer isn't going to laugh if your joke isn't funny the way that your buddy is.
Oh, for sure, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Myra's not gonna protect your feelings, right? I just met this guy. Get away from me. Well, actually, that's pretty funny. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Well,
you get
okay, he's
you
giving
get
him
that.
tags. Oh my gosh, this is great. I love it. I love it. The advice we talked about, honestly, I didn't want to take up terribly too much of your time, TJ. I know we just, covered a few things, but I do always like to ask, guests of my people that I like to speak with is, whatever craft they're in, whatever field they're in, who or what continues to inspire you today?
For me, like in the industry or just in general?
I would say as it pertains to how you feel about comedy.
Okay. What inspires me just in general is my wife, but my wife's amazing. As far as like in comedy itself, honestly, it's hope. I it's not like a particular person. I find that if I look at people like in stand up to inspire me, wait a year or two and then now you can't look up to them anymore. It seems like it's just like anytime you look up to somebody, you find
Yeah.
out, I don't really like to put people on a pedestal for that reason, but for me, it's hope. Uh, I have a special in my head that I want to do, and I'm working on writing it. It's been a process that I've been working on for years, but it's like a piece at a time. It feels like it's coming together, and I'm excited to continue that. It's the creative pursuit to me is the reason to
Mm.
continue. If you're based in Lafayette, it's not the same as being based in New York or LA. And I don't really have I can't move to New York or LA, so I have to do what I can do where I am. And for me, I want to I have a special in my head that I want to get out, and so for me, that's what motivates me.
Well, I hope and I'm certain we will all see it
Uh,
soon.
uh,
And absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, like for me, it's essentially the people I'm coming up with, keeping us accountable, my friends, family, and people, comedians like yourself, who are constantly a reminder that you can be a good person in this crazy business. You can be a genuine person, kind and real, frankly. And it's very refreshing.
I appreciate it.
Um,
Wish they all were.
of course, yeah, and like for anyone watching, listening, like if you're lucky to know TJ, you know everything I'm saying is true. But if you don't know him yet, I encourage anyone to follow him. I'm gonna put all his links and everything in our description box, show notes, all that sort of stuff, so people can follow you and stay updated for your upcoming stuff and follow along and be there for when the special drops.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This has been a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time, my friend. Long time coming, and thank you again. Everyone, please follow TJ. Really appreciate it. And then, and yeah, we'll definitely. Do you want to plug? Do you have some shows coming up? This will come out Monday. I don't know if you got anything you want to promote or just anything like that.
I have an audition for Netflix at the Laugh Factory in Chicago on the 25th. So there's that. And if you're in Detroit, I'm headlining Comedy Castle in Detroit August 15th through 17th. I'm excited for that. So
Nice,
come see that.
nice, awesome, man, awesome. Break a leg with the audition. You got this. That's amazing. Can't wait to
Thank
hear about it.
you.
Um,
You're doing it, man. You're doing a great job. You're a phenomenal comic. Really, really excited to watch. I really enjoy watching you. Really excited to see what you're going to do with it.
Appreciate you, my friend. Hope to work together again soon and hope to see you and all the best. More continued success your way. Ladies and gentlemen, that's TJ Wharry. Check him out. Love him. Thank you very much, TJ, again for your time.
Thank you so much. Take care, man.
Real quick before you click away, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe for all future videos. And you can also check out these videos over here. Have a great one.